Good Friday morning, everyone. It's new every morning. I am your host, Tim Koger. It is November 14th, 2025, and I've got an exciting bunch of stories for you today. I am really looking forward to sharing this, especially the Starbucks story at the end of the day. Oh, it's going to be good. I love it. I love this story, and I love the other stories too. But I have to tell you, that's one of my favorite stories I've done, or I'm going to do, since I started this. Good morning, everyone. It is a really nice morning, really crisp morning here in Central West Virginia. Just so you'll know, I'm looking I'm sitting at my desk looking toward my desktop computer, but right above my desktop computer is a window, and I can see outside. As I talk to you every morning, I can see outside and watch the beautiful morning. And so maybe sometime I'll turn my camera around and let you see what I see. In fact, I'll do that right now. That's what I look at as I talk to you. So anyway, nothing like live TV or live internet. Hope you guys are having a great morning. I hope we have some warriors with us, some morning warriors that are watching this. I know it's been a long week. It's Friday. A lot of people are sleeping in. Hi, Tom. Tom's with me. And Tom actually helped me put together my Starbucks, gave me the idea of Starbucks this morning. So he gets some credit for that. Good morning, Tom. But I have some other stories too, and we'll get started on those in just a minute. But I just want you to know that I'm enjoying doing this. I'm still doing it Monday through Friday every week, and I will be here next Monday. I don't know how long I'll do Monday through Friday, and I plan to eventually move this to YouTube instead of Facebook. Good morning, Connie. Nice to have you along. But at the moment, we're doing Facebook Live, but I do have a channel on YouTube now, and these videos are going on there because they stay there forever. On Facebook, they start disappearing, and I don't know, some of the first ones I did have already disappeared, but I got them on YouTube, so they're still alive. In case you want to go back, you hear something, you want to go back to hear it. Anyway, let's get started. My first story is about the shutdown. It's over. The shutdown is over. But why did it happen? Well, I got a quote today that kind of opens up the idea of why it happened. And it's from Representative Madeleine Dean, a Democrat from Pennsylvania. And I'm going to quote her here. I quote, by shutting the government down, we were able to focus on and get everybody else focused on the unaffordability of health care across the country. And she also said, and I quote, we were very successful. Okay, so that's the reason they shut it down. So the shutdown was really a big advertisement. I don't know how else way to say it. They were advertising that health care is expensive. So now in case you didn't, if you've been living under a rock or something, now you know that health care is expensive. So that's the reason that and I've heard other people say it too, that's the reason we had this shutdown and affected so many millions of people's lives, just so everybody would know that, by golly, health care is expensive. I might be a little snarky today. I'll try not to be too awful bad, but anyway. My next story is SNAP is back. Was commonly known as welfare. At least that's the way I grew up. Now, Senator Brooke Rollins uncovered some stunning fraud that she wanted to share, and so I'm gonna quote her. So 5,000 dead people are getting SNAP. 500,000 people are getting SNAP twice under the same name, the very same name. Now, she also said, and I quote, 80% of the people could be working. And she also said, and I'll quote Brooke here, very big announcements coming next week. We have a plan to fix it. So it sounds like they want to do some work on SNAP and get it more effective. And get rid of the fraud and things like that. And I'm always up for getting rid of fraud. So anyway, next story. Over 2 decades, they've been researching genes, not the ones you wear, but the ones you have. And there's a new team of scientists that are aiming to decode human immune systems. Now, in easy terms for me to understand, what that means is there could be a time that we could be close to predicting diseases before they start, predicting them to a reasonable amount. And if that would ever happen, good morning, Janet and Eugene. Nice to hear from you guys. It could be that we could, if we could actually predict a disease before it starts, or maybe not an absolute 100%, but a good chance, then we could be ready to look for it and start treatment much, much earlier than we are able to today. So that would be great news if that happens. We'll continue to follow that story as it goes on. Oh boy. My next story is about the FBI documents. I don't know if you know who Jack Smith is, but he's a guy that was working, in the Justice Department. He didn't work for the Justice Department. He's a special prosecutor. He started something called Arctic Frost. Then they were investigating the January 6, 2021 episode. But anyway, he was targeting, ready for this? He was targeting House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's private phone records. Now, if you don't know what the House Speaker is, he is the most powerful person in the House of Representatives. And Jack Smith, when he was going through his stuff, was trying to get his private. Good morning, Susan. Nice to have you. He was looking for his private phone calls. Now, as you might guess, Kevin McCarthy, when this news broke, he wasn't very happy. So he's got some quotes. I'm just going to quote. He said, and I quote, "Jack Smith's radical, deranged investigation was never about finding the truth. It was a blatant weaponization of the Justice Department to attack political opponents of the Biden administration." So he said more. I got one more quote or a couple quotes here. But he was not happy that they were trying to look at his private phone calls. And I quote Kevin again, "His illegal targeting demands real accountability." And he also said, "I am confident Congress will hold hearings and access documents in its investigation into Jack Smith's own abuses." And what I get out of that is, looks like we have some more hearings coming in Washington. Like, that's not really news. I understand that. Now, the real hero, the real hero in stopping this, you will never believe, is AT&T. All right. So AT&T, when Jack Smith brought this to them, they actually questioned Jack Smith about the legal basis for seeking records of members in Congress. And it wasn't just Kevin McCarthy, but almost a dozen that they were looking for. All right. Now, when AT&T questioned him about if it was legal, special counsel said, I'm not going to really pursue this anymore. So AT&T, being the hero, had to make a comment too, and they said, and I quote, "AT&T has not produced any records or any other information for Special Counsel Jack Smith or any members of Congress." That was also a quote. Good morning, Lisa. So AT&T wants you to be sure that they are the hero. They didn't turn over anything to Jack Smith that was private information of people, of senators and congressmen and whoever. So anyway, the heroes were AT&T. They're the ones that actually stopped it, because they actually said, "Mr. Smith, is this actually legal?" And Mr. Smith basically said, "Forget about it. We don't really want to do it." Okay, so my biggest story today is about Starbucks, and I love this story. Everybody knows who Starbucks is. Now, if you listen to this very often, you know that I am not a coffee drinker. I drink hot tea this time of year, which I'm drinking today. I'll watch. It's getting a little cool, but I can still drink it. But Starbucks Starbucks, everybody knows, they're the largest, by far the largest coffee chain on the planet. They have 34,000 stores, but it really operates like a bank. In fact, it operates better than a bank. This is genius business. I mean, I mean, what Starbucks has done is legal, as far as I know, and it's amazing what they've done. Now, let me explain. Starbucks has something called a loyalty program, Starbucks Rewards, and you may know what that is. You may be a part of that. And in my home, Starbucks is known as Starby. So if you're a fan, that's what they call it. I don't know. You have to understand, I don't go to Starbucks. Now, I've been in Starbucks, but I don't go to Starbucks. I don't drink coffee. I don't especially love their food. Not that it's bad. It's just, I just don't go to Starbucks. So, this information is, I'm not a big fan of Starbucks. So anyway, we'll just leave it at that. But it's a Starby fan. That's what I have in my household. Okay, so you can add, let me explain how it works. You can add money into the rewards account with a credit card or Starbucks gift card. Now, the prepaid funds in the app can go then toward using to make payments and even loyalty points known as stars, which can then be redeemed for food and discounts. Sounds like a great idea. Be able to save some money, right? Well, according to Starbucks, and the newest information, I have some older information, so who knows what's going on now. But in 2022, there were 27.4 million active Starbucks Reward members in the United States. That's 27 million. And you may be one of them if you're listening to this, and that's cool. I mean, I'm not against Starbucks Reward. I'm not against getting free food. I would be a hypocrite if I was against free food. So I'm all for that. But what they do, just like a bank collects deposits, Starbucks collects large amounts of cash from its members. That's what it does. It collects money from you and holds it for you. Holds it for you. In 2016, newest information I have, Starbucks held $1.2 billion in customer deposits. They were just holding the money, Now, the good news for Starbucks is, like a bank, it needs to pay interest. Starbucks didn't need to pay interest on this $1.2 billion because they're not a bank. They're not a bank. They just act like one. Okay, so they didn't have to pay interest. Banks do. So Starbucks members effectively, provided them, a total of $1.7 billion loan at 0% interest. So they were loaning their money to Starbucks, eventually using it, like banks do. It even gets better than that. Yeah, they were getting zero interest for all that, but it gets better. Starbucks earns a profit from what they call breakage. Breakage is basically unused gift cards or money that's been put into one of these rewards things that aren't being used. Now, in 2021, that was about $164 million. That's approximately 10% of all the stored balance. So not only were they getting to use your money interest-free, but a lot of the money that was put in there was never used. So they just got that free. $164 million in 2021. So they got to use it. Hi, Chelsea and Leah. Nice to have you along. So they're using all this money. Good morning, Donna. They're using your money that you put in there, and of course you eventually take it out, and that's good, unless you don't take it out. And then they get to keep it, $164 million in 2021. So not only do they get interest-free loans, but they also get 10% return on their money because people put it in there and never use it. And now, if you put your money in a bank, eventually you use it. You do something with it. You remember it's there. But apparently, there's people putting money in these reward things with Starbucks, and for whatever reason, they quit buying Starbucks. They do this, they do that, who knows, whatever. But they never use it. $164 million in 2021. But it even gets better. At least I think it even gets better. Good morning, Chris. Nice to have you. Because, as opposed to a bank, Starbucks members with their money can only withdraw coffee. They can't. Well, I mean, foods. They can't withdraw the cash when they need it. They can't go to Starbucks and say, hey, I need that money back because I got a bill to pay. Can't do that. So what it has done, the genius that it has done with Starbucks is it locks in their customers. So when they put that money in there, which is good, I mean, it's good business. They're guaranteed revenue for Starbucks because people put money in there, and the only way they can use that money is to buy something from Starbucks. Now, I'm telling you all this so you'll know, because I didn't know all this. And I'm not putting down Starbucks in the sense that they've just come up with a really neat system that's all legal, all right, and super duper profitable for Starbucks. That's the reason I say Starbucks is really not in the coffee business. They're in the banking business. Hey, listen, have a blessed weekend. I will see you Monday. Bye-bye.